goal.
Yeah, 11 yards, I think.
And then the only thing Josh Allen did wrong in the whole game, he called tails. That's it.
Yep. Amazing.
The overtime, my favorite whatever anecdote I heard afterwards or whatever was the fact that, and you can hear it in the replay, is that Mahomes tells Kelsey, "Do it, Kels." And apparently Kelsey had told him before that, when I see wherever the open spot is, that's where I'm going to run to. It was like Sandlot. I'm going to go run over here by this tree, throw the ball. And he did.
You be the Coke bottle, I'll be the beer can. Now see out there. Right.
So,
and Gabriel Davis, guys, that was a record 4 touchdowns in a game. Better than Jerry Rice or Chris Carter or anybody else like that.
I don't know how you want to take this. It's, again, nothing to take away from Stephon Diggs, but it just shows you, one, how underrated some of the other players are, or how special Josh Allen is. Probably a combination of both. Diggs, I believe, had less than 20 yards receiving, and he did have the 2-point conversion, but it didn't matter. Like, he can make Gabriel Davis spin. You saw last week with McKenzie, he can turn him into a star. Obviously, last year more so, Cole Beasley looked like he had the potential to be a very good player. Obviously, Dawson Knox seems to have emerged out of nowhere this year at tight end. So I think they're a little underrated in terms of some of their pieces. I'm not going to say they're Kelsey level or Tyreek level, but like they have more pieces in place around Josh Allen than I think they get credit for.
Okay, fundamental question. 25 points in, 2 minutes or whatever it was. Crazy amount of not much time. Okay, were the defenses just gassed and they can't do any more, or is this the new NFL and offense is just what it is, and that's all we're going to do? Defense doesn't matter as much. It's fascinating to me because that's a lot of points given up without a lot of stops.
I think in that game in particular, there's just the talent level at the quarterback and the other skill positions. Running back is a little sketchy, but anyway. I think what you're seeing is the future. Well, to me, this weekend was the passing of a torch to a new generation of quarterbacks because the two longtime guys didn't get anywhere, which brings us to my favorite, Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers has to eat all that nonsense he was putting out. And also San Francisco, it's ugly.
Just win, baby. Just win, though, right?
Jimmy G, man, he makes me nervous. He makes me nervous getting off the bus.
He does. He's a good-looking kid, but other than that, right?
Oh, yeah. The best thing he's got going for him is he dates really pretty women. But anyway, he did what he had to do.
Right. Very little.
He really did. He really didn't scare me too bad except once or twice in that game. And considering, he's got a thumb that's hanging by a thread, literally. So anyway, I thought, and also, I've said before that I don't think that weather any longer should be a factor in a football game of this caliber. It needs to all be in a dome. But San Francisco, they beat the Green Bay Packers, Lambeau, 0 degrees. And I heard one soundbite from the kicker, and he said after he took his shoe off, his foot was black and blue because it was like kicking a block. So, but anyway, it was very entertaining.
It was it was, the snow is falling. It's the Niners, it's the Packers, it's all those decades of them playing each other, and the people are standing, they're going nuts, and the Niners win the game. That's just legendary stuff. You had one game after another. Here's the other one.
Yeah,
I think this game was really interesting in that, it's actually kind of the theme of the week. The big winner was besides the young quarterbacks, kickers.
Kickers. Oh yeah.
Oh
sure. Yeah. Kickers. All the games came down to teams that actually have good kickers. That's what it came down to.
Robbie Gould, baby. Robbie Gould.
And in particular on this game was highlighted by special teams because all the points that San Francisco scored were or the two of the big ones were set up by special teams. Their initial 3 points was set up by the Deebo Samuel kick return, where he ran it out close to midfield, and then they were able to slowly move the ball down the field and get into field goal range. And then they went for it on fourth down late in the fourth quarter, and they were stopped because Mitchell didn't read the blocks right. Mm-hmm. And then Green Bay, I think, was content just to try to get the clock, get a first down and try to burn but they weren't. Armstead got a sack, so that led to them kicking, and then the punt was blocked and recovered in the end zone.
Amazing
to tie
play.
up the game.
Unbelievable.
And as great as Aaron Rodgers looked on that first drive, and even on the second drive, which credit to Fred Warner, he knocked the ball out from Mercedes Lewis. Mm-hmm. And after that drive, for the most part, that Packers offense, I mean, they had one big chunk play, I believe, to Aaron Jones. But after that, 49ers figured them out. And that's why I don't know if he's going to get a head coaching job, but D'Amico Ryans has only been, I believe, a coach in the league for 4 years. I think Tua is a quality control guy. But there's a reason why he got an interview with the Houston Texans. What he did with this 49ers defense against a guy who's possibly going to win the MVP for the rest of the game, it was a credit to him. And like I said, it was great because, again, like with a lot of the games, the big stars showed up, even though their numbers weren't overwhelming, to set up the game-winning kick to allow them to burn all the time and then kick a game-winning field goal. They had a 3rd and 7, and they were going to throw the ball. And Kyle Shanahan had 4 seconds left on the play clock. He called timeout, and he's like, I don't want to give him Aaron Rodgers a shot. Because remember, earlier in their season, they had just a little less than a minute, I think, and Aaron Rodgers was able to get them in position to win the game with Mason Crosby kick. So he called the timeout, and he goes, Deebo, I'm going to do a run. And they did a run, and he obviously they have a good offensive line, but it was a lot of just Deebo making just magic. And he sliced through, and he was able to get on the 3rd and 7, rush it forward. And then I think they ran one more play with Juszczyk just to set it up for Robbie Gould. And that was that. So.
And Deebo hopped off the field on one leg after that play on top of that.
So.
I heard it like this, guys. I like this. I listened to Chicago Talk Radio. That Packers loss is the greatest Chicago Bears victory since 1985. Yes, sir. For a Bears fan, you're in there on that one. Now, what's going to happen to these teams, man? The Packers, salary cap, salary issues.
I think Rodgers has to stay no matter what. And if he stays, Devontae, where is Rodgers going to go? Where he can dominate that whole North now easily. He owns it. And if he wants to get back, don't
know.
To be fair to J-Boy's point, it's not that obviously maybe that would be but the reason I think he said that I don't want to be a part of a rebuild is kind of like what J-Boy point. In terms of their cap situation, they're going to have to gut it. There's no way you can again, I don't know if they have the accountant for the Saints. Now that Sean Payton's not there, they've always worked magic for 4 or 5 years to get those teams under the cap. I don't know how they did it. If they can get that guy or woman, I don't know. If they can get that person,
bookkeeper,
maybe they can. Yeah, maybe they can make it happen. But they're not going to be able to keep this nucleus together. And particularly what Rodgers probably wants, they're not going to keep him and Devontae Adams. That's the thing. They've thrown out. They can put the franchise tag on Devontae Adams. They don't have room.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not disagreeing with Luggs. I think it would be best for him to stay there. I just don't know if they have the pieces in terms of what he's saying to stay there.
All right.
It'll be interesting.
Let's talk about that last game. Another
next
one.
big one, is Brady retiring after the loss to the Rams?
Right. Who knows? Giselle knows, I guess, but we don't.
But again, the first half, the Rams just dominated, and then finally the Bucs wake up. Because I got to be honest, I was watching the game, and it was like 24-3 or something, and I just said, this is done. Stick a fork in it. And then I come back like 10 minutes later and they're coming back. It was like crazy, crazy stuff. Again, one of those ratings beaters where people are going to be tuning in to begin with just to see Brady in part, and very, very entertaining to top it all off for the weekend.
Don't you have to take a few words back about your thoughts on good old Matthew Stafford, too? I think you said he was going to go lion-esque on us and just kind of
I did.
whiff.
I did.
How'd that work out for you?
Well, the season isn't over. Okay.
This is true.
I will hold off on, I will eat my crow on that one. But one final thought, I just think Brady has to come back. He can't whimper out on a career.
But that team won't be the same either, but we'll talk about that in a minute. It'll be completely different as well.
I will say this about that game with Brady.
Yeah.
He had, other than Gronk and Evans, he had nobody. I mean, Fournette was like maybe 80% of himself. I mean, that was pretty amazing. But hats off to Cooper Kupp. He's an amazing receiver. So they've got a shot. But anyway, what do you think, dog?
I think the main theme of this game is, even though obviously the Bucs lost, this is why you move heaven and earth to get like a franchise level quarterback. Because obviously, even though it didn't work out this year for the Bucs, obviously it did to the full extent last year. This is why you get a Tom Brady. And not to say, to be fair to you, I'm not saying the Rams are going to win it, but when the game got tied, and even after, he almost got strip fumbled and they only had 35 seconds left and they had to use their last timeout. So they didn't have any timeouts left to drive the field. What does Stafford do? He makes two huge throws to Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
Spikes the ball, allows Matt Gay to kick the game winner. That's why you trade all those picks. Yep. I know he had some shortcomings in the back end of the season. I think some of it were injuries. I'm not going to give him a complete pass. Some of it was maybe the pressure of being a guy in a situation to actually win. Maybe he wasn't ready for the expectations. But these two games in the playoffs, he has played at a high level. And even though they almost took this game away, you go through those turnovers and situations, that's on Sean McVay. That's on Cam Akers. Cam Akers had a fumble before the second half ended, right at the one. They at least get 3 points out of that. That would have put them up 23. They probably get in the end zone. Gets up 27-3. And then after that, they got a huge strip sack on Brady. And the very next play, I believe, their center snaps it over his head, goes 20 yards downfield, allows the Bucs to recover. Now, again, to be fair, for the most part, the Rams defense was good. They shut them down. They didn't score points on that possession. They were able to stop them. And then Cam Akers fumbled again to set up the game timing for Fournette. And I feel bad for Cam Akers because he came back from Achilles injury, but he was awful. He averaged 2 points. He averaged 2 yards a game and had 2 lost fumbles in critical situations. I just feel that they did what they're supposed to. I also, the theme of on these winning teams, all the stars stepped up. Aaron Donald played well.
Yep.
Von Miller really came through huge.
Yep. The win now is working, isn't it? So
Cooper Kupp, I mean, he had 183 yards receiving. That touchdown in the first half I think it was on a 3rd and 20 to get that wide open. Obviously, it was busted coverage, but to get that wide open and then. Again, like I said, I put if you're going to question anyone on the Rams, and I love this guy, but it's Sean McVay. Like, they went ultra conservative in the second half after they roasted him in the first half by being aggressive, by throwing down the field. All of a sudden, they took the ball out of Stafford's hands and gave it to a guy who, like I said, is just coming back from Achilles injury. They didn't even give Sony Michel carries, who was the guy who kind of carried him on the back end of the
and he's proven, right?
So I don't. That's the thing. That's where my trepidation with the Rams come from is Sean McVay.
Well, let's look ahead here.
Yes, please. Talk
Speaking
about
of
it.
that, I gotta say, I'm sticking with the 49ers.
Whoa.
Basically, I think Kyle Shanahan